writer for NOAA Fisheries here in Juneau. And I cleared my desk. I've done all the work that I had on my desk, and I did something I learned to never do again. I went looking for work. I went walking down the hall between our office calling out, work, somebody give me work. And I hear somebody call out, give him the overfishing definition. And I hear everybody chuckling in their offices up and down the hall. Because when you go looking for work, you get the job that nobody else wants. So here was the job. The job was, we developed our scientists, our big brains down at the Alaska Fisheries Science Center had come up with a new definition of overfishing. And what that means is, federal statute says we have to manage the fisheries for sustainable yield. So we have to have a clear idea of how many fish will be too many to catch. The problem is we can't go down there and count the fish. Anyway, so this new overfishing definition, somebody had to write a Federal Register notice explaining this for the fishermen who are going to have to live by it. Anyway, great, I'll do the overfishing definition. So I get the overfishing definition, which is like 4 or 5 pages of advanced statistical formulas. I came to NOAA Fisheries from University of Washington, where I was a Shakespeare professor. I don't do math. So I'm looking at these formulas. At 4 or 5 pages of advanced formulas, statistical formulas, and my eyes are rolling back in my head, looking at this stuff, and I gotta explain this stuff. Well, okay, so I was younger then, so I'm gonna nail this bastard. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna figure out these equations, variable by variable by variable. I'm gonna nail this thing. So I go after it. Well, I've got an introduction to statistics on one side of my computer, an introduction to biometrics on the other side of my computer, and I'm making calls all week long to our big brains of scientists down at the Fisheries Science Center, and they're all great people, and they're all really smart, but they don't generally teach, so they're not used to bringing their big ideas down to my level. So I get done talking to them, and I can hear them in the back of their head saying, "If you hadn't half a brain, you dumb." Anyway, so 2 weeks go by. 2 weeks go by. I don't have a clue I'm still no closer to figuring out what the hell these statistics are talking about. I leave the federal building in the rain. I go walking up Basin Road trying to figure out my next move because obviously this job wasn't working out. And suddenly it hits me. I mean, just all of a sudden, I've been going after this thing for 2 weeks. Finally, I just say, oh, wait, I know what they're getting at. I run back to the federal building. In the space of an afternoon, I type up a draft Federal Register notice explaining what these, and it wasn't detailed, it wasn't variable by variable by variable, but I had a big picture of what they were trying to get at. So I finish the draft, and I send it off in an email to the big brain down at the Alaska Fisheries Science Center who cooked up this stuff. A Vulcan of a man, a guy named Grant Thompson, wonderful guy. We met years later in person at a party, and it's just this great meeting. But anyway, that's another story. But, so I send this off to Grant Thompson. I come in the next morning, I get a call from Grant. He says, "Hi, I read your draft." No. He says, no, you just don't get it. I mean, you're kind of around that. You're in the kind of no, it really doesn't work. And it's just, I can see what you're trying to get, and kind of, yeah, sort of. He goes on like this for 5 minutes. Just like, yeah, no, there, yeah, there. Finally, he says, "Okay, yeah, let's use this. Let's go with this." Okay. Like buzz. In that moment, I realized how Moses felt. And this is my idea of the book of Genesis in the Old Testament. God comes to Moses and he gives him the whole spiel. In the Big Bang, celestial mechanics, the development of the solar system, the planet, the sky, the earth, the plants, the animals, evolution, plate tectonics, the works. how the Mets would go on to win the 1959 World Series. They're the big questions. So, but the problem is that Moses lives 2,000 years before the advent of science. He doesn't know what the hell God's talking about. You know, the Big Bang, evolution, So he goes back to the people and says, you know, there was a big light in the sky. Well, there was a big light, and then there was the sky, and then there was the planet, and there was the animals, and then here we are. And you know, it wasn't close to what God said. But it did the job that it had to do, which was explain to the people why we were here. Why isn't there nothing? You know, what are we doing here? And it gave people a sense that we belong here. We knew why we were here. My overfishing definition. It wasn't close to the statistics. I mean, it just wasn't. But it did the job it had to do, which was to explain to fishermen why, in the face of the fact that we can't count the damn fish, why we fish in this manner, why we have to fish with this gear at this season, at this time of year, to make those federal regulations all make sense. And that's when I fell in love with public service.